morning, I'm Kim, and this is week number 9 on Homestead Hopeful. Join me for my little garden tour. Well, not in my garden bed. These sure are interesting. They're popping up all over the yard. We've had very humid temperatures and lots of rain yesterday and more rain coming in about 30 minutes. So I'm going to take you through really quick. Okay, the pots on the outside of the garden are doing well, lots of green. Uncle Willie's is starting to see some color. I'll show you that. These are a drying bean, so these I will save for like chilies and things like that. I don't think I planted enough of them to get a whole lot of beans, but that's what they look like. The chocolate runner looks beautiful. No beans yet, but lots of flowers right now, especially after the rain. My potatoes are starting to grow mushrooms from the soil as well. They're starting to look a little, dying a little back, so I'm wondering how much time I have. There's lots of traffic in the squash flowers. This squash is huge, and I'm really glad that I staked it to begin with the tomato trellis. I just kind of used it for the cucamelon that's in there, but clearly it has benefited as well. No squashes yet from either plant. One is saffron and the other is, I think, like a green ball zucchini. So we'll see what happens. Check out this peanut plant. It's gotten really big. I hope that's a good sign. This is a black peanut that I purchased seeds from Fruition seeds. This is a variety that is adapted to growing in a shorter season because I live in zone 6A in the Finger Lakes, so it's much shorter than the south where peanuts usually grow. So hopefully I'll get some peanuts. It's supposed to rain in about half an hour, so hopefully I'll have enough time to get this little tour done. I have okra and one of the cucumbers in there. The okra is starting to get a little bit larger, especially after all of the rain and heat. Nasturtium finally bloomed the other day. The bloom is gone now. This is Super Sweet 100 cherry tomato. I've gotten a lot of cherry tomatoes off of it, so it's definitely a variety that I would like to plant in years to come. Basil's doing great. I keep pulling off the little heads so that it'll bush out a little bit more. And then I have all of the cucumbers down here. One of these is a Kajari melon. I have no idea which one at this point because some of them aren't big enough to set off fruits, just flowers, and I don't know the difference at this point. I got them all mixed up because my tags, I just used popsicle sticks and wrote on them in pencil, and they all faded. So I have no idea what is what anymore. So we'll see. Obviously the pollinators love them. Wow. That bee is literally as big as my thumb. That's crazy. You go for it, little guy. Thanks for pollinating. I just did a quick check, and other than these little guys, I don't have a whole lot of cucumbers. So this one is definitely a cucumber. I think this one might be the market more, but I don't know the difference because, unfortunately, like I said, the tags got mixed. This big one at the end, I believe, is Pickler's Pride because it looks very similar to the one that I had growing at the entrance of my garden. I did get one pickle off of that one, and it was nice size. Alright, I kind of can't believe that it has been 9 weeks already. It's kind of amazing. 3/4 of this all came from seed that I started indoors or direct sowed. I did purchase a few plants and was given some peppers, but most of this is all me. I'm so excited. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that there was a cucumber on this little trellis area here. I pulled that out because it wasn't doing all that great, so I wanted to use the space for something else. Right now there's just a cosmos in it that has not flowered yet, so I'll see what happens with that. Over here on the edge, this little cherry tomato is Fruition Seeds cherry tomato, and if you've watched any of my other videos, it was also sharing the bed with peas. I had planted peas first, they didn't come up, so I put the tomato in there, and then lo and behold, the peas decided it was time to arise. So they shared the space for a very long time. The peas started to look a lot like these peas, starting to brown and just die back. So I pulled them out, and now check this out. I just pulled them out last week. Look at that. It's already appreciating its newfound space. So that's a very nice, pleasant surprise. But I got quite a few peas out of it, and I'll still be able to get some tomatoes, even though that space should never have been that crowded. Cucamelons, they're still doing delightful. As a matter of fact, I see one that's ready. That little guy is gonna be eaten right now. I found that if I pick them about that size and don't wait for them to get too much bigger, they taste better. So as they get a little bigger, their, I guess, wall gets a little thicker and a little crispier, which might be great for pickling, but I like it a little on the softer side. California Wonders. I thought that I had only planted 5 peppers from seed that I grew myself, but come to find out I actually did 6, because I have 4 California Wonders in these little pots right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those I started all myself, and then I have 2 more peppers in the raised bed, 1 California Wonder and 1 Yellow Monster. So I actually grew 6 from seed all by myself, and if you'll look, it's one happy little guy. That one has flowers. There's a little guy, and then this guy. So this is a huge accomplishment for me, because I've never ever been able to grow peppers from seed. So that's very exciting. Some of these have an interesting mass. The cucumbers have an interesting mass on the end of them. I'm not sure why they do that. Don't know if that's just the way they grow or what, but I have about 70 some odd days left in my growing season before freeze. Before, I think it was a 40% chance of freeze. So I've got some decision making to do in my blank spots that I've rescued. Here's my little watermelon. There's one. And there's 2. They're about the same size. And they are sharing with the nasturtiums, which look just so pretty. They're finally really blooming, and they just look lovely. I definitely want to start them a little sooner next year so that they fill in a little quicker. Look, I've got mushrooms in my containers too. All right, Fruition Seeds. These are cherry tomato varieties. I got a cherry tomato mix envelope several years ago and did my best to look at the seeds and see if I could tell any difference, but they all look the same. How am I supposed to know? But luckily, at least it looks like I ended up with at least 2 different varieties out of the 3 different plants. I have this one, which looks just so beautiful. And then this one, which is a humongous cherry tomato, by the way. Huge, absolutely huge. And then the third one that's up front. So that's fun. Okay, my other tomatoes, these are inside the raised bed. These are the super sweet cherry tomatoes. And they are doing quite well. They are vining all over the place. I've done my best to kind of control and contain them, and now I'm sort of kind of giving up and letting them just go. The lime green salad tomato is doing great. I've already had one. They taste delicious. I'm very happy with them. It is a very light flavor. I don't think it's as acidic as some of the red versions of tomatoes, so that is a happy surprise. And look at that. They're gonna be so much rain. And then look at that. That's the delicious tomato. And this is the first red tomato, other than the cherries, that has decided to start blushing. That is so exciting. And this is definitely going to be a tomato sandwich, absolutely, without a doubt, because this is the one that reminds me so much of my grandfather because of the cat facing here. I love that. Then here is the other delicious tomato. Look at how big that is. It's just huge. This plant is huge. I think I'm going to try and take a cutting off of this to see if I can get another tomato plant going and see what happens with the few days that I have, well, 70 some odd days that I have left. Then this is the early girl. Look at, she actually decided to do pretty well, so that's kind of cool. Okay, peas off to the side, so that's behind the tomatoes. The peas here are starting to die back, you can see. I have gotten some from them, but they're starting to dwindle. These peppers they have grown so much in just the last 2 days. I can't even explain to you how quickly they've grown in the last 2 days. They're setting off blooms, so that's kind of exciting to see that I'll get more peppers from them. I had no idea that they did that. I've never had peppers grow like that. Even ones that I've bought as transplants, I've put in the ground and they've only gotten maybe, a foot and a half tall, and that was it. The beans are doing great. These are Lucas's beans. They're still putting off flowers, so I will leave them. I do plan on removing these peas. I just need to figure out, I gotta make some choices as to what I'm gonna put in these blank spaces. I've got 3 different areas that I have peas that maybe I'll put new peas in, maybe I'll put some radishes, I'm just not sure. Lettuce is starting to fill in. That looks very nice. These has some radishes in it already. Some of them did well, some of them didn't. Strawberries, as you can tell, are still going strong. Oh, and I've got some runners off of that I will definitely pot so that I can start new ones. I got a couple more banana peppers. They're getting yellow. My 5-color Chinese pepper is still purple. Beautiful purple. I'm tempted to take one of these off now and see what they taste like, how hot they are. Ground cherry is massive. I will never ever plant them in a square foot garden ever again because they just take up far too much space. They are definitely taking up 2, 4, 6, about 8 to 10 squares now that they're just kind of infringing on, and then they're starting to extend out into the walkway on both sides. So, I mean, maybe you could plant it on a corner and then just let it go out that way, but it still extends off to the side, so that just makes it hard. I have lots of ground cherries that are starting to be ripe. We have found that I like them a lot. I don't think anybody else likes the texture of them, because they're so much like cherry tomatoes, the size, and then when you bite into them, it's very cherry tomato like, even though the flavor doesn't mix. And I think that But my family doesn't like that. So guess who gets to eat them? Me! Oh, me! Okay, here are the Gouda and honey nut squashes. They're not doing a whole lot. It looks like I might have some fruit there and there. But honestly, if those don't get pollinated, I'm pulling both of them and using them for something else because they're just a whole bunch of leaves and flowers, and that's all they've amounted to, unfortunately. Herbs are doing well. This is the pot where the pumpkin, I harvested it the other day. The leaves were just dying too much. I also had another squash here. I decided to take that out as well. It was, I think it was a Gouda. I removed it because it was just leaves, a whole bunch of leaves, no flowers. I did have some flowers, they just weren't doing anything. So I removed it so I can make more space. This tomato is another delicious tomato, and I think I accidentally topped it. It's definitely suffering from when I put the ground cover over top of it. So unfortunately, this looks as tall as it is going to get. So that might be all of the tomatoes that I get from this plant as well. So this one might get the cut too. My dill I have let grow wild. Honestly, I was sort of kind of hoping that it would attract a couple of swallowtails, and I would absolutely be blessed and lucky to have them in the garden and eating away at my dill, but so far that hasn't happened. Alright, cabbage, cauliflower, cabbage, they're looking fine. Rainbow chard is also looking mighty fine. I had to get rid of some leaves that I missed from the leaf miners, and they were showing damage, so I just removed the whole thing rather than wait for the little miners to eat away at the leaves. My lettuce is growing back. This I already cut twice, so it's starting to grow back. Kale and lettuce in this pot, that is very, very slow growing, but it's growing. I have green beans in this one, and then sequoia beans are the purpley ones. Both of them are very good. We've had them for dinner, and they're very good. My son has commented that these are the provider beans, and he's commented that they have a fuzzy texture on them. So if I don't cook the daylights out of them, he can still feel the fuzz. He will eat them, but he comments about it every single time, which I think is funny. Alright, broccoli, delicious tomato, and another squash. This one is a honey nut as well. And broccoli is doing okay. I have had a worm caterpillar issue, and it looks like it's fresh poop in there, so I'm gonna have to look and see. Oh, look it, he's right there. You see him? Birdies, you're not doing your job. He's going right to the birds. All right, delicious tomato is starting to get a little bit of color to it. And then I get lots of little fruit, but they don't always get pollinated, unfortunately. I do have two of them. There's one. Where's the other one? Oh, maybe it didn't. Maybe it was that one. Maybe I only have one. Oh, that's a bummer. I thought that one got pollinated. Apparently it did not. So, well, I guess at least I have one. Yeah, see, here's one of those frustrating moments. I could have sworn that that little fruit right there got pollinated. And it looks like it's just gonna go back to that. That's frustrating. They start out like this, looking beautiful, looking as if they got pollinated, and then shrink away. That's one of those gotcha things, you know, like psych back in, this tells you how old I am. We used to say psych. It's frustrating. Anyway. Alright, 9 weeks of my little victory garden. It's doing great. Very proud of all of my successes. I'm even proud of my failures because I'm learning. Alright, bye-bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me on my 9th week of my little victory garden. I hope that you have been following me along this journey. You can go back and look through any of my other garden tours and videos, and we hope to see you again next week. Bye-bye.